Do we have another call on hold, or has it been waiting for a while? Just a quick question or comment, because I want to get into the...
Hello?
Hello, how you doing?
Hello?
Yes, ma'am, you're on the air.
Yes, good evening.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I wanted to call and thank Clive and Catherine for being on tonight. We really appreciate this. We knew from day one, our family, that the ATF was responsible, number one, for this. Janet Reno, every one of them were behind this. And I wanted to thank them for being on tonight. I think for teaching the American people and coming out with the truth. More people need to know about it. You know, myself, my family, our friends, we all know this. We were devastated by it, and we didn't believe any of the lies that were being told to us on TV. And I just want to call and say thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for your support.
God bless you.
God bless you too.
Thank you.
Very glad to be here.
Before we take that break, though, I want to ask you all. I want to just get this in kind of quickly, if we could, because the last part of the show I want to get into. Like you said, you have current people now that are getting beaten in these prisons and stuff. So
right.
we want to get into some of the, as far as what I would like to see done, as far as indictments for the tank drivers all the way up to the people that gave the orders, because these people are not being held accountable for what I consider to be murderous acts. But until that time, I want to just ask you about the 51 day. Okay, first off, just quickly, because this is the one question that everybody asks me, and I've even forgotten the good response. Why didn't you all come out?
First of all, there was a certain amount of trepidation when the ATF evacuated after the shootout. There's quite a bit of fear, you might say, on the part of the people that were in there, expecting them to perhaps wait till nightfall and come back in and attack us. Of course, you know that they were supposed to have been relieved of their part in this by the FBI by the end of that day. And from that point on, over the negotiation phones, we were being told that even though they wanted everybody to come out, they did not want us all just coming out in all directions, because they had the place surrounded. They had sniper nests all over the, in various localities, and they apparently had a hard time contacting these people. They weren't all hooked up by phones or whatever. And so if we would be setting ourselves up perhaps to be shot if we just all came out, and, as I say, out of any exit or at any given time. So I was given to understand that it all had to be set up over the phones.
Underneath the compound, but gas will permeate those areas as well. So again, we're not anticipating they're all going to flow out at any second right now, but it has been quite substantial. Yes, sir.
Are you surprised no one has left the compound after you've opened up the walls?
Question is, am I surprised? Truthfully, I'm not surprised. I think you have a totally fanatical, committed group to David Koresh. We believe that there's a hardcore group. They're all heavily armed. They're all firing at our vehicles when they do appear. Those who are weak, we believe that they're surrounded with firearms and probably are not being allowed to leave. Those who are totally loyal to Koresh, it's going to have to require extreme discomfort, we believe, and probably a signal from Mr. Koresh that now's the time to get out of here. Yes, time to get out of here. Yes.
Can you show us where on the map you inserted the gap?
Well, I can't show you all because we have virtually surrounded.
Over the negotiation phones, we were being told that even though they wanted everybody to come out, they did not want us all just coming out in all directions, because they had the place surrounded. They had sniper nests all over the, in various localities, and they apparently had a hard time contacting these people. They weren't all hooked up by phones or whatever. And so if we would be setting ourselves up perhaps to be shot if we just all came out, and, as I say, out of any exit or at any given time. So I was given to understand that it all had to be set up over the phones. And for several weeks, people were coming out on a regular basis. There was over 30 people came out of there as a result of the negotiations that were going on and being set up. Me personally, I felt that the women and children would be first, maybe the elderly, and that perhaps the guys would be the last one. So I was quite prepared to stay until my turn came, you might say. Everybody I know that was in there had their bags packed. We were fully expecting to come out. As a result of the treachery on the part of the team, the FBI team that were on the ground, the tactical team, it seemed like every time somebody came out or every time we complied with what they asked us to do, we would be punished in some way. They would destroy something, they would threaten, and they cut off our electricity. They were playing all this music and the bright lights and so forth. Everything that seemed to be done negative when we complied with what they wanted. So there came a point where everybody just basically said, forget it. We either all come out together or not at all, sort of thing, and it was kind of a standoff. That's the feeling on the part of the people as individuals. On the other hand, we also had a religious situation that a lot of people don't understand, and that is that God had told David to wait. They had not complied with his request to play the tape that Catherine brought out in prime time. That was the agreement. They didn't play it in prime time. Probably very few people in this country heard it at all. And so God told David to wait. And we waited, as I say, partly for an indication or some kind of sign from God or a green light. And that green light, I believe, came when David was instructed by God to begin writing the 7 seals. But the FBI were impatient, and on April 19th, of course, they overrode the negotiators who were telling him to take his time and write this out, and then everybody would come out. They just decided to come in with the gas and demolish the building. And I don't know whether you got the footage tonight, but there's one footage where it says that their aim was to isolate us all in pockets, and by the end of the morning they'd pretty well done that. Those of us that were in the chapel were not able to get down to those that were in the kitchen area, and the ones upstairs were pretty well blocked off from getting up and downstairs because they were demolished by the tanks and so forth. So there's probably a lot of people that would have liked to have got out of the fire once the fire started that were unable to. We know for a fact that there were people that came out on the offside from the cameras where the media were not available to take pictures, who were shot.
As they were trying to escape.
As they were trying to come out.
So the bottom line is you really didn't trust this
We didn't trust the government.
Yeah, right.
They hadn't given us any reason to trust them.
Right.
That kind of an
Yes, I understand that. I wanted to ask Mr. Jamara, I'm actually confused, and I don't have a firm opinion. I want to get a clarification. In the tapes on March 4th, it's been alleged that David Koresh was the person who initially called about the milk, or did the FBI suggest the milk? Did David Koresh ask for milk? The report here says the FBI offered milk in return. Did Koresh initiate the milk request?
I think so, yes.
And was this on the tapes, let's get her, that's Heather Jones, out, and then we'll send you the milk?
I'm sorry, would you repeat? There was noise behind me. I couldn't hear you.
Let's get her out, and then let me send you the milk. In other words, the core question here is that the FBI offered milk in return for the release of some children.
Right.
Yesterday we heard that Koresh believed that the promise was violated because that the tapes suggest that there is the phrase, now it may be other phrases in it too, let's get her out and then let me send you the milk.
Well, that was an effort to, this is, remember, March 4th. It's an effort to establish a quid pro quo, an exchange here.
And the next day she came out, Heather Jones.
It was an effort to get that done. She did come out, but that exchange was an effort by the negotiator to establish that type of relationship and to communicate with Koresh.
So do you believe that then not sending the milk after she came out the next day gave Koresh some reason to doubt whether or not you were going to follow through on the negotiated deal? You don't believe that was a negotiated deal? Send her out and we'll send you milk?
I don't think it was at all. He chose to let her go for his reasons. He never involved himself in the quid pro quo.